Hello and welcome to Real Vision, the Defiant's weekly show, chowing down the juiciest morsels of crypto, DeFi, and Metaverse news. I'm Robin Schmidt, and joining me once again from Real Vision, Elaine Lee, and the Defiant's Camila Russo. And if you are missing a tortuously constructed opening line here, it's mainly because I spent yesterday in the sobering company of a Ukrainian film producer whose work is to funnel urgently needed supplies from wherever they are, whether it's Mexico and the US, to people on the front line in the Ukraine. And somehow I'm just feeling a little less zappy today. And I don't want to be a downer, but like just my brain has been rearranged and reorganized and given a different view on everything. There are certain kind of reality checks that happen when you talk to people who have been in the Ukraine, have escaped the Ukraine, and are now trying to help those who are just confronted with just the most awful realities over there. So yes, I think, yeah, maybe we can do something with DeFi and crypto. But that is not the topic for today. It's just an excuse not to be too flippant, I guess. So, Elaine, welcome. Camila, welcome.
Thanks,
I would like to put it to you that there have been stories on our radars, and I'm curious, Camila, which has been most front of mind for you this week?
Well, I mean, this story about Facebook/Meta and their latest antics in the Metaverse has just blown my mind. This came in yesterday, and basically it's Facebook's scheme to take a profit from sales in its Metaverse game, and it's just so the opposite of what this new Web3 ecosystem is supposed to be. So summarizing what's going on here is that Facebook will be taking or wants to take a cut of almost 50% from sales that happen in its Metaverse game Horizon Worlds. So that figure comes from 30% is the cut that the headset, the Quest VR headsets take, and then on top of that, Facebook takes like 25% and so it's like on the one hand, you have this kind of blockchain powered metaverse where it's non-custodial, people are in control, you're able to fork code if you don't, if you disagree with the fee that people are taking, and oftentimes people have direct ownership of these protocols via tokens. So it's a much more empowering system. And then comes Facebook, changes its name to Meta, forces itself into this narrative, and on top of all that, wants to take a 50% cut of sales from something that's kind of supposed to be empowering creators. Facebook just wants to take a big kind of profit cut out of it. So it's just like not surprising, but still kind of pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah. To be fair, it was a proposal. They weren't actually saying this is what we're going to do. And in the blog post, they say that they're testing a way for creators to sell virtual items and experiences within their worlds. But I would say that almost makes it worse. That almost makes it worse. Like you start from, well, we'd like to do this, but we're going to do this. The thing about the Oculus Quest is it's a very odd way of them trying to compete on a hardware basis with Apple. That's basically what the play was here, create a hardware platform that they could then leverage to do things with. And that's what they want to do here. I don't know if you ever used an Oculus Quest. They are pretty amazing, but it's kind of limiting because every VR experience is limiting. But the games on there are highly limited. There's a very limited selection, and those who are on there are paying this 30% premium. And so what they're looking at here is not only is Horizon Worlds going to have a very, very small number of creators actually selling in the opening phase, but they're also going to get a fairly heavy chunk of money to incentivize them to actually develop there. So there is a bit of give and take, and the headlines are a little bit misleading. But at the same time, you just read this as you go, no.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing. They are limiting the like who can actually use this, like who can actually sell this. And I think it was like you need to be like 18 and based in, or 18 or older, and based in the US and Canada. So like that's the other piece that's like completely against what Web3 is supposed to be, you know, open and inclusive for everyone. Facebook is taking a cut and limiting who can participate. So it's just no, stop it.
Elaine, do you have a hot take on this one?
So I just watched this whole story unfold, and it really is hard to watch, isn't it? Obviously, crypto Twitter goes into meltdown. It sort of opens the conversation for, you know, the fight for an open metaverse continues. I really have to direct you to an interview that Rao did, and he has this whole conversation with Punk6529, which is over 2.5 hours or over 2 hours long, and you just got to watch it and make your own notes. You know, you go to Punk's Twitter account, and this is what he has pinned. They have the money and power. You have your brains and your community. You know, we are living in a time where we find ourselves in a position to finally have this decentralized blockchain technology to rewrite a page in history. So content creators can really make their own decisions. So ownership is important. You know, your data, your culture, your content is finally worth something. So what is the true value of your worth in 2022? Is it giving up almost 50% of it? Is that the way to go? So many questions. And you're right, Robin, when you're saying, you know, this is a push for the new Oculus product. I have an Oculus and I love playing the games on there, but I do think having a marketplace for open metaverse is healthy. Having competition is healthy. So this is one for us to watch, and I hope it just falls on, you know, the right side of history, so to speak, and just really look after content makers, because, you know, making something from scratch, an original idea, is not as easy as you and I both know.
There are so many pieces to this, but you just feel the weight of everything that Facebook has done, and Meta now, as it's called, has always done, and the difficulty they have in sitting down together as a group and coming up with something that doesn't involve just repeating the same models that have worked for them up until now. And it must be really hard for them to shape a reality around something where it's free and it's open and they have no control. And I have a feeling that they won't succeed. It just feels to me like the younger generation are too smart and instinctively reject like Zuckerberg. He's just become the face of something, and until he's gone and they've kind of, I guess, cleaned up their act a little bit and cleaned up the optics, it's just going to be the same story. And you know, I know I bring this up every week, but I'm watching my kids and I'm watching how they interact on Roblox. They love Roblox. They love it so much. And I'm watching my daughter do a digital fashion show and work her way through a game, but also say, well, I need to do this and then I need to acquire this. And I go, you're already doing it. She's 10 years old. She's got this. She's got this. And she won't care about Meta. And I'm trying to sort of teach her that the open metaverse is we want to kind of push it forward is a thing. But when you say the fight for the open metaverse, I don't think it's for the open metaverse. The open metaverse is inevitable because there's too many people working on this. It's what does open mean? The fight for the concept of open. That's the thing that I think is really interesting. And also, I think we can talk about the fight for an open audience. Because I think more than anything else, like when you look at the way Russia has managed to close off access to any kind of independent media, then you're really thinking about the audience here. So what is the audience receiving and how open are they to new ideas? I think it's a fascinating debate in front of us. And it's great that we have Meta attempting to do this, because the more visible it is, the more abhorrent it is, the more people will be motivated to push in the other direction. And that can only be a net positive for me anyway.
Yeah, you're right. I think that this can be a net positive for the crypto version of the metaverse, like the non-custodial version of the metaverse. You know, it's just like reduces the competition from Web 2. So I guess another point to make here is that we don't we don't need Facebook to watch out to take care of creators. I think there are enough alternatives outside of Web 2, being creative natively in Web 3, which do empower creators. So yeah, it's like whatever, like Facebook can do what it wants, but in the end, like the real metaverse is already being created outside of it.
Well, the metaverse story in Web 2 are going to have to kind of duke it out. And what I'm finding fascinating at the moment is the way our next story ties all this together, because we have the announcement by Coinbase that they're going to be producing, they call it a movie trilogy. It's going to be 3 animated films, and a film can be 2 seconds long. It doesn't have to be 90 minutes, and I don't think it's going to be 90 minutes, but they are producing a film with some Bored Apes, a supposedly community-owned or community-directed story. This is Coinbase. It's Bored Apes. This is like the perfect intersection of Web 2 and Web 3, and I'm really curious what you make of this one, Camila.
Okay, so I think a few things to highlight here. Like, one is just the absolute kind of like moon heading rocket that Bored Apes is on. Like it's just been on a tear, like one thing after the other. They acquired CryptoPunks, they launched ApeCoin, and now this announcement that Coinbase is going to be producing a trilogy called the Degen trilogy, based on the Bored Apes IP. So it's just like this is really becoming such a major player in Web3 and NFTs. I mean, I think it's really kind of a project, a company to be reckoned with at this point. So
who are you talking about though? Are you talking about Coinbase or are you talking about Yuga Labs? Because Yuga Labs has nothing to do with the film. But they have nothing to do with the film.
So they are, well, I guess like Bored Apes as like, a symbol, like they become the.
That's the confusion, right? Because people will associate this with Yuga Labs. There's nothing to do with Yuga Labs.
It's just like Coinbase taking the like Bored Apes IP and running with it.
It's a partnership, and it's a marketing campaign to use the Bored Apes to drive traffic towards the Coinbase wallet, and that's very smart, But like, it's just, well, there are so many things that pop up for me. It's like they're asking people to write the character profile of their ape, submit it, and then that ape will then be used, or could be used, or voted on to be a character in the film. So that whole process has to happen. Then they say they're going to launch the first film for NFT NYC, which is in June, and I'm like counting back now for an animated.
How are you going to make it?
How are you going to make it in time?
June?
It's going to be shit. I'm not being funny here.
There's a trilogy of it.
But like to make a decent film is hard. To make a decent animated film is really hard. You have to get script, you have to get voice talent, all of this stuff. That takes time. That's development. They do not have enough time to make a good film. They'll make a shit film. It might look great, but it's going to be shit. And I'll happily watch it with you guys in June when it launches, and we'll all have to sign up for a Coinbase wallet. And there you go. I think it's pretty clear. I think it's pretty.
We could do a live viewing party.
They didn't say how long each clip will be. Like, it's a trilogy, but maybe it's like 1 minute each. So it's like, okay, like a 3-minute trilogy. I don't know.
Bear in mind that the shorter something gets, the harder it is for it to be good. Like making a TV commercial, which is 30 seconds, it is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. No, it's going to be shit. It's going to be shit.
So who is behind the production of all of this? Is it Coinbase with their people?
Good question. Good question.
Does Coinbase even have a film department?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. This is wild. So just going back to one of your things that you said, Cami, you missed out one of the biggest catalysts in the Bored Ape story, which is the $450 million raise.
True.
That's just,
true.
This is like, it's like nearly $500 million for them to go build shit. Like the other
and
side,
the
the
valuation was like 8 billion, or what was it? Yeah, something.
Somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Move quick.
So anyway, so yes. So William Swan is the man that matters here. He is the director of entertainment and culture at Coinbase, which is a very strange term. Entertainment and culture Okay, fine. He was the executive vice president and head of entertainment at BBH USA. And the thing about BBH is they specialized in the intersection of advertising, technology, and entertainment. So he was the perfect guy to hire. To basically what they do is they monetize IP. So Coinbase have hired this dude to figure out how to turn Web3 IP into something that will generate revenue for Coinbase and also drive new subscribers, new traffic, new paying customers to the platform. Let's bear in mind that every time you trade crypto, you pay Coinbase if you use them, and their fees are insane, insane. So this is the human that is behind all this. They actually have a media arm for the film's production. It's led by this guy. He doesn't have a film background, so I don't know what he knows about film, but the quote was, "You can think of this as a love letter to the NFT tech that has provided so much creative liberation for artists." Already, like, I'm just like, oh. Love letter is what they describe things that Scorsese makes about, his love for Catholicism. That's, I love it's indulgent and it's horrifying and it has no place in this environment. Like if they just said, listen, we're going to make a live action version of Bored Apes and we're going to hire The Rock to be in it, you'd be like, fuck yes. But this animated, it's just, sorry, I'll say it again, it's going to be shit.
We'll see. I don't know. I still think, this is like just like bolstering the whole like Bored Apes, and even if it's not like direct, like if Yuga Labs isn't behind it, it's like raising the Bored Apes profile even higher. It's just like, it's crazy how much this project has achieved in so little time, and it may as well be shit, but I think it's just like it's a first step in something, in creating content based off NFT, and I think like something else to highlight is that the fact that Coinbase can take this Bored Apes IP and do something with it is why Bored Apes were, it's part of the reason why Bored Apes were successful to begin with. Like the fact that they gave up IP to NFT holders instead of retaining it themselves. Like that was kind of the crucial like difference with CryptoPunks. So it's like now Coinbase is putting this to work in a big way. So I think it's exciting, but you're right. Like it remains to be seen whether the actual like film is any good.
So the signal to me that this would have been good is if right up front they would have announced the writer, but they haven't. So that's it for me. I mean, even a director would have come secondary, but like announcing a writer would have shown me that they understand what a film is. But
I mean, I know it's talking about apes, but do we know anything about the narrative of the story? Like, is it about like, ooh, they sold out in seconds
but
and
Elaine,
now the journey?
But Elaine, we're going to let the community write this. They're going to give us the best of their heart and their sentiment and their emotion. In other words, we won't do any of the work. We'll let you do the work, and then we'll just say, yeah, but it's community driven, so it doesn't matter if it's crap.
Robin, let's try and see how that works. Just like letting our community write our stories and videos.
I think you know. I think you know how that will go.
Yeah.
I think you know.
We shall see.
It's all about the sustained ecstasy of 7 videos a week. That's what it's about. Anyway, yeah, when people step into the land that I know well, then I feel empowered to be more vocal in my distaste. But that's a beautiful thing. The metaverse is also obviously a key part of the Bored Apes journey and experience, and the Bored Ape metaverse itself is due to launch in April. I don't know whether that's going to have been pushed back or delayed by anything that's going on in the world, but it's certainly something that will drive the price of ApeCoin, no doubt. We know that ApeCoin is like just integral to everything in the ape ecosystem, and with $450 million, you can be sure they're going to be delivering a lot of stuff this year, powered by that ApeCoin. So, who knows? Could be a good trade. Could be a good trade. But anyway, that's the icky side of things. Elaine really wanted to talk about Aku.
Oh, so what an exciting project coming up in the space. I mean, huge fan of Michael Johnson, obviously, just because his dedication of just building this whole thing together. I think there are 7 chapters that he released, and basically those chapter holders.
10.
Oh, okay. And if you collect all 10 chapters, I think you're qualified as a moon god or a moon goddess. And if you hold one of these chapters for whenever it launched, you're actually been rewarded with like an Akutar mint pass, and that Akutar mint pass will give you also an NFT of the brand new Akutar that Micah is releasing. And I think the Akutar collection, I can't remember how many there is, but I think they're going to drop on the 22nd of April. I mean, right now you can buy a mint pass to get one of these, but it's already over 1 ETH. And just watching some of the promo video talking about the content and this collection is so breathtaking. It's so nice to see like schools, painting a coup on murals, kids learning about, organically learning about Web3 now. And I think that is just something, this project is the part of watching this journey grow of this project is so wholesome. It's something so nice to see, because you're actually seeing how a brand new project is genetically built on Web3. That's something really nice to watch. And I just see like Michael Johnson this week uploading a video of himself becoming a YouTuber going, this is how you do the wallet. And it's just, when you see the passion and the dedication of the founder behind the project, giving so much, where he has to all of a sudden become a YouTuber as well, just to safely onboard people onto his project. It's something genuine and authentic about this that it feels good. The ethics and the morale of it feels good.
Have you seen Micah? He's like Superman. He's got like this. He's an incredibly handsome man. He's a former baseball superstar player. He's like, and he's got this incredibly softly spoken way of expressing himself. But he's also a great artist. I mean, it's
where's your Aku? Don't you have a model figure?
Yeah, I just showed it. There he is.
Sorry, I was busy babbling on. Yeah.
So this came about because Micah basically heard a young boy basically ask
his nephew
if astronauts could be black, which is a really profound statement, because he just didn't see anybody that was. So that became...
the first time I actually met Michael Johnson was through a Real Vision interview with him as well. And the first thing I said, Micah, I totally get your project. My mom told me that I couldn't be ever casted as Lady Macbeth when I was doing drama in school. So he was just like, this is exactly, why culture is everything, when you can relate to something. And yeah, so there it is. I think that's just the perfect example of what you should see. Every project that can be built has to be diverse, has to be culture, has to be, relatable to everyday people.
Well, there's a whole streetwear and fashion collaboration going on that they announced yesterday. He's collaborating with Billionaire Boys Club, with ice creams, skateboard apparel, Puma, footwear, Upscale Vandal, and Who Decides War. And if you see the quality of the assets that they put out, hello. Like Artifact partner, like Nike bought Artifact, and Artifact was putting out work that was pretty much as detailed and as high quality as you can see. I think the Akutars are on a par with it. It's really impressive. There will be an Akuverse. There'll be a whole metaverse with some gamification, some Web3 stuff. They're just doing things in their own way, and it's all, it's all geared around Micah's personality and his expression of his own journey in this. And it just, I love it. I'm a big fan. Camila, are you aware of the Micah Johnson story?
No, I wasn't. I'll definitely have to look into it after this. I hadn't looked into it.
For selfish motives now, can I just ask, what do I need to do to get into this whole ecosystem? Do I need to get a mint pass? Should I get a chapter? Like, how does one begin their journey with this Akutar project now? Any suggestions, anyone?
Well, you're right. The 10 chapters that made up the Aku story, they were on Nifty Gateway, and then many of them were airdropped to holders of those chapters. There were 10 of them, and getting a complete set of 10 is quite expensive. We're talking like, luxury sports car level expensive. That makes you a moon god, and if you're a moon god, you get one of the mega OG avatars, Akutars. But like the Akutars, is 15,000 of them, and you'll be able to buy them on secondary markets. But I think there's also you don't have to buy one to be part of that experience. Just go and join the Discord, and I'm sure Mike will be trying to do as much as he can to make it not massively expensive. Because as you rightly say, like the Akutars themselves are like 1.5 ETH. That's what, like $5,000. That's out of the range of
He's
like
actively in there as well. I pop into the Discord just because I like the project.
So is Akuta like part of this like I don't know cartoon series? I'm just like so lost here. I don't know what this is.
You have a character. He has IP.
Okay. Okay. And
Aku
that's
actually,
Akuta?
that's Aku. And the
Aku.
Akutars
Okay.
themselves are just variations on this with different apparel. And these streetwear brands have contributed traits, but there's also one-of-ones where they have the complete outfit, and they're gorgeous. I mean, they represent.
Is it ACU?
It's AKU.
AKU. Okay.
AKU. Yeah. And yeah, there's just this.
I'm like searching it. I'm looking at it right now.
She's aping live. Go. No, but I don't want to oversell this because like it's there's always this difficult thing where it's just like, what's the entry point? How do you get in? But like, I just think the project itself is just, and I've been talking about it for months already. Like
I know. But the thing is, it's, even a couple of months, it was so early. I can't promise you this, but I'm going to pitch for Micah to try and come on this show.
I keep reaching out to him. I've reached out to him on Discord and Twitter, and like I've been trying to get him for months.
I'm going to try it for you. I'm going to try it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. It's happening. Because one of the things that I know Mike is doing is also a film, because the character itself is really kind of narrative driven. They've also done animations for these chapters that give you a sense of the boy's story, and I know they also bought the same suits that we have to do motion capture. So he's thinking on the same lines as we are, which is how do we create an in-house studio where we can cinematically express ourselves through this IP that we have created. But I think what's very clear from this session that we're having here is that storytelling and narrative are going to be the primary drivers of token value accrual in the next 5 years. It's pretty obvious already, an IP-driven, entertainment-driven value. And that's kind of where I sit, and I feel so conflicted about the whole thing. I would like to give everything away for free, honestly, and let it just be out there, but that's just not the way the world works, unfortunately. So there you go. Any other stories on your radar? You two.
Mine is watching that pop-up restaurant. Sorry, it's another ape story. Do you guys want this?
No.
I mean, we can. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the whole like taking advantage, exploiting, leveraging IP, right? And yeah, there's like this Bored Ape restaurant, but like similar to what Robin was saying about the film, like the photos of the food look really bad. Like those hamburgers do not look appetizing at all. But yeah, we can
look. Just very quickly, the pop-up is set up for 90 days. The restaurant is in Long Beach, California. It's called Bored and Hungry, and that's like the story of everyone's lives, right? When it talks about people's diets. And then, look, if McDonald's can team up with BTS, why not the Bored Apes and fries? That's it. No more. Move on.
Another NFT story is this NFT refund story that we
that's a good one.
Yeah. Super interesting. There's this new standard ERC 721R for refund, I guess, which if used will allow NFT buyers to get refunds within a set time frame. So I think the thinking behind this is there have been like so many scams on rug pulls, like projects just like running off with the money, not following up on any of the roadmaps. So this gives buyers like some sort of safety net, and also incentivizes the project to stick around at least for the period of when the refund is live. But then there's like issues with it, like people can game it and just like mint the entire collection and keep the most rare tokens and then give everything back. So yeah, like maybe there are still kind of things like tweaks to be done, but I think it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Well, what I like about this is that the refund mechanism is hard coded into the token itself, so it doesn't rely on humans to administer it. And I think that's the interesting bit. It's the money robot just does its job, and once that has been implemented and you signed up for that, then it just works. I'm curious how they figure out the time, because is it measuring blocks or something until the timer runs down. I don't know, because you can't, like, time on blockchains is a bit weird.
Yeah.
You can't just say like it's 14 days. That doesn't really work. You have to say how many blocks. But that's kind of interesting. And you're right, it can be gamed. But I think this is an interesting kind of what's the right word? Whitewashing of your project. It's and like any rug pull could still do this and then just buy the tokens themselves. I also, you said there's been so many rug pulls. There really haven't, you know. Much more problematic in the space is just inept teams with idiotic founders who have no sense of business starting projects and then being completely unqualified to move them beyond the first sale phase. It's literally just as a bunch of startup idiots.
I mean, there definitely have been projects where like the founders just like disappear and like leave the Discord, the Twitter is gone and like people are just like left with like these tokens and
but
no community.
As an overall percentage of how many projects there actually are, it's pretty low.
I don't know. I don't know like what the percentage is, but there's definitely been a few of those.
But but the biggest issue is that they're just idiots setting these things up and then just dissolving slowly into nothing because they don't know how to scale it. And yeah, we can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I picked this story up from your website, and I think there's just an element of feeling safer with projects to fall back on. Like, I'm totally screwed when I go shopping and I lose my receipt, but this is all on the blockchain, right? So I don't have to worry about a receipt. I just think, you know, that's why it's important to know who founders are behind these projects. You really have to do like the MI5 on these brand new projects. And even if there isn't enough information out there for these new whatever projects that pick up, I think knowing that you can get the mint price back, from what I read, there's just a bit of a better trust element to projects if that's available.
Yeah, there are some different ways to skin this particular cat. I actually don't think you necessarily need to know who's behind a project, but I think one of the key things is you need to know where the money went and what's happened to it. And that's just treasury management and good treasury transparency. That can all be done on chain pretty well. But I mean, most people have no clue. And why would they? It's so new and so complicated, all of this stuff. But again, there has to be an example that people can follow. And I think the more of these that come out and the more examples we get, the more forks we'll get, but also, you know, we'll arrive at something that kind of just about works, which is, you know, everything is a compromise at the end of the day. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. We've been NFT heavy this week, but I think it's just inevitable. NFTs are going to be this interface point, this how crypto meets the world. And there was another story that actually popped up this week. I will just briefly mention it, which is a project called Near Protocol launched what is effectively a competing product to Terra's UST. And Terra has this anchor protocol, which is the headline product on the network where you can get a 20% fixed rate of interest on stablecoins. And that is just like, for me, that's the defining 20%. Protocol of DeFi. That is the thing that you can take to a person in the street and say, this is what's possible with your US dollars. And given the insane inflation at the moment, if you could say to them, you can actually outrun inflation. It's not a lot, but you can do it here. That's a big selling point for this space. And the problem has been that it's been on one platform, which is Terra, and there's a lot of exogenous risk around UST because it's an algorithmic stablecoin. But I think if there are more of these scattered around, you could diversify, and then you could potentially build baskets of these 20% fixed rate of interest products across different chains, and then you've got something that might have some stability and robustness that could be really powerful and really actually create a DeFi product that works for everyone. And that would be exciting. So I'm really curious to see how that one's going to play out. But any last thoughts? Any last thoughts, Cami?
Yeah, I mean, just like briefly on the Anchor and now this Near project. I think like the whole Terra Anchor ecosystem, like Doe being so vocal about buying Bitcoin to add to reserves for UST, like that whole story has been so fascinating for me. Like it is like such an attractive point for really anyone, you know, who wants to get more return on their savings. But I would just like add a note of caution here that You know, this really does work as long as there's like money coming in, right? You need kind of the backing of Luna behind this, and like, you need kind of demand to be there. I'm just like, I wonder how things play out in a really kind of long, protracted bear market where there's just like not enough demand to sustain these rates. I mean, I guess like then at that time, like you just have to like cut rates, and that's pretty much it. But so just wanted to like add that note of caution that it's, you know, you need kind of demand to sustain that rate level. But yeah, I think that's that's a good way to leave it. I think, yeah, very NFT heavy. It's been like such a volatile year for crypto, and for some reason, like NFTs, just like at least like some projects like have been really holding up. I think surprisingly well amid like rate increases, war in Ukraine, like all these headwinds for risky assets. NFTs are really kind of proving their worth, and that people really do value these communities and like this sense of belonging. So I think that's pretty cool.
Elaine, final thoughts?
Yeah, NFTs in real life for me. I'm not part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, so I need to find something that speaks to me. So I'm looking forward towards maybe something mentioning World of Women, their gala. I don't know what that is. Maybe the new festival. Who knows? That's something that I'm looking forward to. And I'm on the Anchorage Protocol website right now.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Elaine. Thanks, Cami. This is Real Vision versus Defiant's weekly tiptoe across just NFT stuff. Might as well call it the NFT show from now on. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be with you at the same time, sort of next week. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.